What's good, guys? It is Sam here, and today I wanted to talk about the new ranking for the Democratic candidates that are running for president. And what we rank them on is their campaign website. So we used three different factors. We used their ranking in the US out of all sites in the US, how much time is spent on their site, and how many page views are viewed on each one. And we stack rank them through through each one of those categories. So the total amount of time spent on the site, who has the most, who has the least. Same thing with the number of page views, and same thing with the rank within the United States. So with that being said, if you'd like to watch all that, then stay tuned. If this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, thank you so much, and you had better be pressing that like button. All right, with that being said, let's get into it. So the site we have here is Alexa.com. Alexa.com is owned by Amazon, coincidentally. That is not actually where the name came from, as far as I know, for their AI, but the backstory on that might be kind of interesting. So I have Andrew Yang's website up here, and this gives us a bunch of statistics in terms of engagement and popularity on the web. This is Rank's website. So what we do is we come over here, we look at the total number of page views per visit and the total amount of time on a site per visit on average. So with those, the reason a higher number is better because if somebody has more time on a site, they spend more time on the site, or there's more page views per visit on average, then that site or that person, the message, the creative, whatever it might be, is more compelling to people, is more interesting to people because they're looking on the site more and they're spending more time on the site. So both of those things are important, and we give each one of those a 20% weighting in our final average. Now, what actually has the biggest weighting, in my opinion, is the overall rank inside the US out of all sites. So this, the ranking in terms of the US, is 60% of the average. So both of those other factors are very important, but you could have somebody who's ranked in the top 10 out of all sites in the US, and you could have somebody who's ranked 100,000th in the US, and the person at 100,000th maybe has greater page views, or maybe has more time on average on the site. So that they are definitely important factors, but they're not like the biggest factor. The biggest factor is definitely how the site ranks in terms of popularity out of all the other sites in the US. So as you can see here, Andrew Yang, his is ranked 2,549th. And then this is the global ranking here. We can just see it's just up and to the right with a little bit of leveling out recently. So we took every single one of those factors and we stack ranked all the candidates, each one of them, and this is what we came up with. Andrew Yang and Elizabeth Warren are tied for first. So that is very interesting. Elizabeth Warren has been building up a tremendous amount of speed. If you look over the past 4 weeks of doing this, she's been in second since the beginning of September, and she's just now, 2 months later, come up to first. So she's made a lot of progress. Just a tremendous amount of progress over the past 2 months. Andrew Yang is still ranked number one, but as I touched on in my previous video, Andrew Yang has been losing ground. At its high, his site was ranked 1700th and change in the US, and every time I go back and look at it, Andrew Yang's website is losing ground in terms of popularity relative to all the other sites. And I'm maybe more critical of his because he's number one on here, but it is interesting to note that they go back and forth on a lot of these things. So Andrew Yang comes in number 3 in terms of page views and the time on the site. He comes in behind Elizabeth Warren and Tulsi Gabbard for page views. Tulsi Gabbard is a she wasn't even in the debate 2 months ago, and then she was in this last debate, and she's already in where she's ranked 4th overall out of all of these candidates. Her website's 4th. That's astonishing. This lady is picked up a tremendous amount of steam, and she's doing very, very well. So let's just round out the top 5. We have Andrew Yang and Elizabeth Warren tied for number 1. Number 3 is Bernie Sanders. Number 4 is Tulsi Gabbard. That's awesome. And number 5 is Joe Biden. But it is interesting to know the only 3 people who have websites that are in the top 10,000 out of all U.S. sites is Andrew Yang, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. Those are the only 3. Everybody else is outside of the top 10,000. Joe Biden's right on that cusp. He's at 10,203. So it'll be interesting to see how these next couple weeks come out. And I would like to know what your thoughts are on how if some of these numbers play out or what you think might happen. And if you leave them down below in the comments, that's what I like to do at the end of the videos is actually answer some of these comments or just comment on some of them. So that is what we're going to do. If you leave that hashtag Stolt, then I can look for that in the comments and make sure I answer your question down below. So right here we have Pedron C, and this is in regards to Kamala Harris is getting destroyed by Pete and Andrew Yang. Pete's buttocks doing so. This is very. And then somebody else says LSD says he's twerking his way up the poles, flatlining and others. And then I heard he likes everything shaped like a pole. So literally these comments, the only thing they're doing is just showing like how ugly people are inside. And by putting it on the internet, you're just showing the world what type of person you are inside, right? That's if you take an orange or an apple and you squeeze the fuck out of it, what comes out? Orange juice or apple juice, right? And if this is coming out in the world with just watching a video draws this out, imagine what's actually inside when something's under stress. That's literally all I'm going to say about that comment. Let's go on to the next. This is from Cat Ward. What's up, Kat? Thank you for the comment. I came into 2020 fully expecting to vote for a woman. I like Warren, but I doubt her ideas can get through Congress. Tulsi and Williamson, I have no idea who Williamson is, kind of interesting, are nuts. Klobuchar and Harris are hard to listen to. I already load the 45s speaking and would like to trade up. I'm not sure what that means. Load the 45s speaking. Maybe he means the older people. I'm not sure. Yang is like Warren to me. Very nice person with good ideas that won't get through Congress. I'll take Pete. I actually don't pay attention to what these candidates are really saying, other than the tiny bit I know about what Andrew Yang has been saying. But other than that, I'm not really paying attention to what the candidates say. What is really actually more interesting to me is actually trying to understand what is happening in terms of what the essence of America is actually interested in, and trying to understand what is relevant, what is interesting to the American public, because we go by these polls, and if you look at the polling data and you actually look into it, the amount of people that get responses on these polls, first of all, if you have to opt into something, the results are going to be biased in some way, shape, or form, period, across the board. And then each question is structured differently, so we're supposed to believe that the polling data out there, which might only be several hundred or several thousand worth of biased answers to some degree or another that have different question phrasing from poll to poll to poll, are going to be representative of what the American public thinks. I think that's a very juvenile thing to think that that's the most appropriate way of doing things in 2019. We can get a better understanding of what America thinks by looking at their website, right? To see who's actually most relevant. We can look at the total Google searches for each one of these candidates over time. And that's what we do in our Google rankings. So if you want to check that out, go back to the channel. We do the same thing with YouTube search volume for each one of these candidates over time. Then we do the same thing with their social media to watch their growth and their donations, but not just the overall donations. We dissect a little bit more and try to understand what their savings rate is, with a low savings rate being a good thing because that means they're actually trying. And I think that this is going to be a very, very interesting next several months as this starts to play out. I appreciate you guys. If you want to get this message out to more people, make sure you share this video with somebody. It really does help out the channel. And if you like the idea of what we're trying to do here, share this video with somebody. Hopefully they can get value out of it, and I would truly appreciate that in helping the channel grow. Peace.